For decades, the United States was the undisputed champion of technological innovation. Silicon Valley set the rules. American companies dominated the digital economy. But something fundamental has shifted. Here in 2025, we're witnessing a historic turning point. China isn't just competing in the tech war, it's winning key battles. And the implications are staggering. Today, we'll explore exactly how China is gaining the upper hand, the strategies behind its success, and what this means for the future of global technology. Let's start with a critical difference in approach. While the United States focuses on quarterly earnings and short-term market advantages, China is playing a completely different game. Under Xi Jinping's leadership, China has adopted a long-term strategic vision that spans decades, not years. We're talking about massive state investment, billions upon billions of dollars being poured into research and development across semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and biotechnology. In 2025 alone, China's public sector spending on AI is expected to exceed $56 billion. That's not a typo. And they've just launched an $8.2 billion National AI Industry Investment Fund to accelerate this effort. This isn't just economic competition. This is a coordinated national strategy to become the world's technological superpower. Every policy, every investment, every research initiative is aligned toward a single goal: technological independence and dominance. Now, let's talk about semiconductors, the very foundation of modern technology. The US has tried to slow China's progress through export controls and sanctions, blocking access to advanced chips and manufacturing equipment. But here's what happened. China doubled down on self-reliance. Take Huawei, for example. Despite being targeted by US sanctions, Huawei is now planning to roughly double its production of advanced AI chips, the Ascend 90C2, about 600,000 units in the coming year. They're rebuilding a domestic supply chain that can challenge NVIDIA's dominance in China's massive semiconductor market. China's semiconductor industry is projected to generate over $200 billion in revenue in 2025, growing at a compound annual rate of 6.45% through 2030. By 2025, China is expected to surpass the United States in computing revenue for the first time, marking the beginning of sustained dominance in this critical sector. This is happening despite, or perhaps because of, US restrictions. The pressure forced China to innovate and invest in ways it might not have otherwise. Moving to artificial intelligence, China has made AI a national priority, embedding it across every sector of its economy. The government has launched what it calls the I+ initiative, integrating AI solutions into manufacturing, electric vehicles, robotics, education, and medicine. It's not just about developing AI technology, it's about deploying it at scale across the entire economy. Chinese companies are racing to build their own AI chip ecosystems, developing alternatives to American technology. While Western nations debate AI, ethics, and regulation, China is moving forward with implementation and commercialization. They're creating an environment where domestic AI companies can thrive, protected from foreign competition while gaining access to massive amounts of data and computational resources. The scale of China's domestic market gives their AI companies an enormous advantage. Can train models on populations and datasets that Western companies simply cannot access. Here's another critical advantage: supply chain dominance. China has spent decades positioning itself at the center of global technology supply chains. It controls the production of rare earth minerals essential for electronics. It manufactures the majority of the world's batteries, solar panels, and electronic components. When the US imposed restrictions, it expected to cripple China's tech sector. Instead, China leveraged its control over critical supply chains to blunt the impact. They're the world's factory, and that gives them tremendous leverage. Beyond just manufacturing, China has been systematically building infrastructure, not just physical infrastructure like 5G networks, but also the institutional and regulatory frameworks needed to support technological innovation. It's creating technology parks, research clusters, and innovation zones with unprecedented government support. This integrated approach, combining manufacturing capability, supply chain control, and strategic policy, creates a self-reinforcing ecosystem that's extremely difficult to compete against. There's a fundamental philosophical difference driving this competition. American tech companies are primarily driven by market forces, shareholder value, and quarterly profits. Innovation happens when there's a clear path to monetization. Government support exists, but it's often fragmented and politicized. China, in contrast, treats technological advancement as a matter of national security and long-term prosperity. The state coordinates research priorities, provides massive funding without the expectation of immediate returns, and protects domestic companies while they develop capabilities. The Made in China 2025 initiative explicitly states that building a competitive manufacturing industry is essential for comprehensive national strength, national security, and becoming a world power. This isn't it's their declared strategy. While the US debates whether the government should be involved in industrial policy at all, China has already mobilized its entire system toward technological supremacy. So what does this mean for the rest of the world? First, we're witnessing a bifurcation of the global tech ecosystem. There will increasingly be Chinese tech standards and Western tech standards, Chinese platforms and Western platforms, potentially even separate internets. Second, countries around the world will face a choice: align with the American tech ecosystem or the Chinese one. This isn't just about buying smartphones, it's about whose 5G equipment you use, whose AI systems you deploy, whose technical standards you adopt. Third, the assumption that the US and its allies will naturally maintain technological leadership is outdated. China has proven that with sufficient strategic focus, massive investment, and long-term planning, it can match and even exceed Western technological capabilities. The question is no longer if China can compete, it already is competing successfully. The question is whether Western nations can adapt their approach to respond effectively. China's success in the tech war comes down to strategy, scale, and sacrifice. It has made long-term strategic commitments backed by unprecedented investment. It has leveraged its massive domestic market and manufacturing base, and it has accepted short-term costs in pursuit of long-term technological independence. Whether this is winning depends on your time frame. In immediate terms, US companies still lead in many technologies, but the trajectory is clear. China is gaining ground rapidly, and in some areas, it has already taken the lead. The tech war isn't over, it's just entering a new and decisive phase, and China has positioned itself not just to compete, but to rewrite the rules of the game entirely. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world.